Hello, my name is Mia, and I'm from Germany. Since I was a child, I've always wanted to go to a place where I could speak English all the time. I studied English in school for many years, but it never felt like enough. I wanted something more than just lessons and books. So, I decided to go to a country where I could live in English every day. After looking at different places, I chose Australia. I had always been interested in Australia because of its amazing places, like the Great Barrier Reef and Uluru. But more than that, I wanted to be around people who speak English. I thought about how I could improve my English by hearing it everywhere, on the streets, in shops, and at work. After saving up money for a while, I finally packed my bags and flew to Sydney. When the plane landed, I was so excited. I stepped off the plane, and the warm air and fresh smell of the ocean made me feel like I was in a new world. I was in Australia, ready to start my English adventure. The first thing I noticed was how friendly everyone was. As I was trying to find the bus stop, I asked a local for help. He smiled and said, "Day, mate. How's it going?" I was a little surprised by the greeting, but I quickly understood that Australians are very nice. Even though I had studied English in school, hearing it in real conversations with an Australian accent felt different. I took the bus to my hotel, and on the way, I looked at the city. Sydney was amazing. There were people walking around, sitting at cafes, and having fun. The streets were busy, and there was a lot of energy. I couldn't wait to start my English lessons the next day. The next morning, I went to my first class at a language school. I was a little nervous, because this was my first time studying in a foreign country, but I was also excited. My teacher, Claire, was kind and welcoming. She said, "Don't worry about making mistakes. That's how we learn." I felt better after hearing that. We started the class by learning some common Australian phrases, like "how's it going?" which means "how are you?" and "no worries," which means "it's okay." At first, I had trouble saying the phrases because of the accent. For example, "how's it going?" sounded like "how's it going?" and "no worries" sounded like "no worries." But Claire helped me practice, and by the end of the class, I felt better about speaking. After class, we went to a nearby cafe for lunch. I was excited to try Australian food, so I ordered a flat white, a type of coffee, and a meat pie, a pastry filled with meat. As I sat with my classmates, I heard them talk in English, joking and using slang. I didn't understand everything, but I could feel the warmth in their words. One of my classmates, Lucas from Brazil, asked, "Mia, have you tried a Barbie yet?" I didn't know what that meant, so I asked him. He laughed and explained that Barbie is short for barbecue, a popular way of cooking in Australia. I made a note to try it. Over the next few days, I explored Sydney. I went to Bondi Beach to watch surfers riding the waves. It was an amazing sight, and I even tried surfing myself. I wasn't very good at it, but it was so much fun. I laughed every time I fell off the board, and I kept trying to ride the waves. I also visited Darling Harbour and the Sydney Opera House. The city was full of life, and I felt so happy to be there. Every day, I noticed my English getting better. I began speaking with more confidence, and my vocabulary was growing. One evening, I was walking back to my hotel when I met an elderly woman sitting on a bench. She looked at me and smiled. "Hello, love. You look lost," she said kindly. I told her I was looking for the nearest bus stop, and she offered to walk me there. As we walked, she shared stories about her life in Sydney and the places she had lived. I was so touched by her kindness. "No worries, love," she said when I thanked her. "That's just how we Aussies are. We help each other out." I smiled, feeling grateful for how friendly everyone had been. The next few weeks flew by. Every day felt like a new adventure. I kept discovering new places, and my English kept improving. I was no longer just learning from books. I was living it. One Saturday morning, I woke up early and decided to go for a walk around Circular Quay. The weather was sunny and warm, and the city looked beautiful. I passed by the Opera House and the Harbor Bridge. I saw so many people walking, talking, and enjoying the day. Everything felt so different from home, but I loved it. I also tried a new food for breakfast, Vegemite on toast. It tasted a little salty at first, but after a few bites, I liked it. It's a popular breakfast food in Australia. As I walked around the city, I realized how much I had learned in such a short time. I had learned new words, met new people, and seen amazing places. Most importantly, I had learned to speak English more confidently, and every day, it felt like I was living my dream. Sydney is a beautiful city, known for its big shopping malls, amazing restaurants, and famous places like the Sea Life Sydney Aquarium. I knew that exploring the city would give me more chances to practice my English. One day, I decided to walk to Darling Harbour. The streets were busy with people from all over the world. It was incredible to hear so many accents and see how English helped everyone communicate. At the harbor, I found a small cafe by the water. I ordered a flat white, a popular coffee in Australia. While I waited, I practiced some English phrases in my head. I had been learning Australian slang and wanted to try it out. When the barista handed me my coffee, he said, "Cheers, mate." I smiled and replied, "Cheers." It was a simple moment, but it made me happy. I had used a word I had learned, and it felt great. After finishing my coffee, I walked around the harbor. People were talking, laughing, and enjoying the day. I saw a group of young people chatting near the water. I decided to join them. "Hi, my name is Mia. I'm from Germany, and I'm learning English in Sydney," I said. They smiled and welcomed me to their group. We talked about movies, music, and life in Sydney. I realized how much my English had improved. Instead of worrying about mistakes, I focused on enjoying the conversation. We talked for an hour, and it felt amazing to connect with people. It gave me confidence to keep improving my English. Later, I took a ferry to Manly Beach. The ferry ride was incredible, with views of the Opera House, Harbour Bridge, and the city skyline. When I arrived, I walked along the beach, feeling the soft sand under my feet. People were swimming, playing volleyball, and enjoying the sunny weather. I sat on the soft sand of Manly Beach, the waves gently rolling in and out, and began writing in my notebook. The sun was warm on my skin, and the salty sea breeze filled the air. I wrote about everything I had done that day, the places I had visited, the people I had met, and the small victories I had achieved in speaking English. Each word I scribbled down felt like a step forward in my journey. As I wrote, a man walked by with his playful dog running ahead of him. The dog stopped near me, wagging its tail, and the man smiled and apologized. We struck up a conversation. His name was Liam, and he told me he lived just a short walk from the beach. His friendly demeanor put me at ease, and soon we were chatting about life in Australia. Liam shared some fascinating details about Australian culture, including their unique slang. He explained how Avro was short for afternoon and how G-Day was a casual way to greet someone. Hearing these expressions from a local made them feel more natural, and I practiced saying them out loud, much to his encouragement. Liam laughed and said I was picking it up quickly, which boosted my confidence. Before he left, Liam surprised me with an invitation. "We're having a barbecue with some friends later this week," he said. "You should come along. It'll be fun, and you'll meet some great people." I felt a spark of excitement and immediately said yes. It felt good to be included, to be part of something in this new place that was slowly starting to feel like home. After Liam and his dog walked off, I spent the rest of the day exploring more of Manly Beach. The vibrant streets were lined with cafes, shops, and people enjoying the sunny day. I made an effort to speak with locals whenever I could, ordering a coffee, asking for directions, or simply striking up small talk. Each conversation, no matter how brief, helped me feel more at ease with the language. With every interaction, I noticed myself improving. I wasn't just practicing English, I was using it to connect with people, to share stories, and to learn about the world around me. The more I spoke, the more confident I became. Mistakes didn't bother me as much anymore, because I saw them as part of the learning process. That evening, as the sun set and the sky turned shades of pink and orange, I made my way back to my apartment. I felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The day had been filled with learning, discovery, and new experiences that stretched beyond anything I had imagined. Sitting by my window, I reflected on what I had learned, not just about English or Australian slang, but about the importance of stepping out of my comfort zone. I realized that learning English wasn't just about studying grammar and memorizing vocabulary. It was about immersing myself in the language, living it, and using it to build connections. Every moment, from a simple hello to being invited to a barbecue, reminded me that progress isn't just measured by how much you know but by how much you're willing to try. The more I embraced the journey, the more fulfilling it became. And as I closed my notebook for the night, I felt excited for what the next day would bring. When the day of the barbecue came, I felt both excited and a little nervous. I got ready and went to Liam's house. His backyard was perfect for a gathering. Liam greeted me with a big smile and said, "Day, mate." The barbecue was amazing. Everyone was friendly, and they asked me about my life in Germany. I told them about the culture, food, and how different it was from Australia. One of Liam's friends, Sophie, asked me, "Do you know any Aussie slang?" I laughed and said, "I know Avro and bogan." Everyone laughed, and Liam taught me more phrases like fair dinkum, which means true, and she'll be right, which means everything will be fine. The barbecue wasn't just about food. It was about meeting new people and learning about their culture. After we ate, we went to Bondi Beach to watch the sunset. The view was breathtaking. We walked along the beach, talking about our dreams and future plans. That night, we ended the day with a bonfire by the beach. The cool breeze from the ocean mixed with the warmth of the fire, creating the perfect atmosphere. The sound of waves crashing in the background added to the magic of the moment. We sat in a circle, sharing stories, laughing, and talking about life. Some people even brought their guitars, and soon music filled the air. I looked around at my new friends, their faces glowing in the flickering light of the fire, and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Just a few months ago, I could never have imagined this. Learning English had opened up a world of opportunities, allowing me to connect with people I would have never met otherwise. It was moments like these that made every struggle, every awkward conversation, and every mispronounced word worth it. When I got home later that night, I couldn't stop smiling. I sat by the window, looking out at the sparkling lights of Sydney. My heart felt full. I thought about my journey, the challenges I had faced, the fears I had overcome, and the progress I had made. Moving to Sydney had been one of the hardest decisions of my life, leaving behind my family, my comfort zone, and everything familiar. But now, I realized it had also been the best decision. It had changed me in ways I hadn't expected. Every challenge I encountered, from navigating a new city to learning how to communicate in a second language, had made me stronger and more confident. Sydney no longer felt like a foreign place. It felt like home, a place where I could be myself and continue to grow. As I lay in bed that night, I reflected on how every day in Sydney felt like a new chapter in my story. Each day brought new experiences, lessons, and connections. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I felt excited about the possibilities. Learning English had been more than just studying grammar and vocabulary. It had been about living the language, using it to meet new people, share stories, and create unforgettable memories. I realized that language isn't just a tool for communication, it's a bridge that connects people from all walks of life. So, if you're learning English or any new skill, don't give up. There will be times when it feels hard, when you doubt yourself, or when progress seems slow. But keep practicing. Stay curious. Say yes to new experiences, even if they scare you. Every mistake is a step forward, and every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Most importantly, enjoy the journey, because one day, you'll look back and realize that the journey itself was the most beautiful part of all.